Good afternoon, ladies, and welcome back to our final installment in the Making of the Smartest Person in the Room series that we have been doing this week to celebrate our 1-year anniversary. So our final interview today is with Denise, and please pronounce your last name for me, Denise.
Anderson Rivas.
Anderson Rivas. Denise Anderson Rivas of A&R Marketing is with us today, and she is going to be talking to us about email marketing, this really underutilized tool that we have to communicate with our audience. And we do have some challenges with advertising and promotion in cannabis that other businesses don't have to contend with. Mm-hmm. So Denise, I'm really curious. Thank you, first of all, for joining us. I'm really excited to talk with you today. What do we need to know to be the smartest person in the room when it comes to email marketing in cannabis?
So knowing is half the battle. That there is definitely a marketing barrier when it comes to cannabis. And I would say with email marketing, the thing to know is to automate and educate, right? So I know that we're on limited time, limited budgets, and I think automation really pushes us to the next, ability to seem like we're doing a million things when we might be, but we're not doing 2 million things, right? So automation really helps us send our message out like when we need it to be sent out and automatically, and then educate. So our biggest push at AR Marketing House is content and education. So when you're sending an email, it's not just about just sending an email and promoting your product, but really educating, because I noticed in one of the webinars we were talking about, women from 30 to 40 are really the purveyors of bringing cannabis to youth, to the elderly. So it's really about like, what tools are we giving them, right? So I think that's one of the things that is really important to us, is delivering those tools. And when you do that with email marketing, it's even easier, because you're not going to get blocked by Google AdWords or any other kind of blocking mechanism. So that's what I would say. Automating, educating.
Awesome. So tell me about some of the kind of the basic things that you notice people miss in their email marketing.
So while I would recommend doing it yourself if you don't have a budget to go professional, what I do see missing is copywriting, really carefully scripting what you're giving to the audience. So really delivering the message and the quality. I see a lack of quality, I think, in the words, and then in the visual, presence. Seeing a little bit of that kind of falling off, but I feel like there's tools out there. There's definitely tools out there to help you create, great emails. There's great templates out there that you can utilize if you're, have a smaller budget. And there's teams that specialize in it, and they know, and they look at data and they see, hey, this works, this doesn't work. And I think people get scared with testing, A/B testing their emails. And that's really an easy thing to do. So it's not something to get scared about, but you can test like what subject lines are working best for your audience, and what copy is working best for your audience, and also what tools you're giving them that they're really enjoying.
Interesting. So tell me about some tools that you use to make email marketing easier for you.
Yeah. So with like, let's say you have an email sequence, right? I think typically what people see is like the first email gets a whole bunch of opens, and then it kind of dips down from there. And there's a little psychological trick you can use on your first or second email that just gets somebody to interact with you. So if you're like, let's say you're a dispensary and your first email out is, hey, what quiz can I give, or what quick poll can I take? Give me feedback of what we're doing, or give me feedback of what you love or what you would like to see more of. If you put that in the first or second email, you're going to see just the trigger of interaction. It'll kick up the amount of follow through and open rates for the next. And I don't know what it is, but it's just a trick to, I mean, it's not a trick. You're actually getting good data, and you can use that data later for, quality information. But that interaction makes somebody open again and again.
Interesting. Can you give me any ideas on what kinds of things would trigger that?
So like you could definitely do I would keep it like maybe a quick poll. You can use SurveyMonkey is free. You know, you can drop a quick poll in your, it could be funny. It can be intriguing if you like, you know, if you have like a more nerdy audience, you know, kind of tailored to your audience, but it could be a quick poll, maybe 5 questions. Don't make it very long. And, you know, ask them what's your favorite strain, or what's, you know, just, I guess, whatever it is you think your audience might interact with the best is what you would want to ask them about.
Okay, it's a very basic question. Seems like a no-brainer, but do I need to be asking them about my business and what we're doing? Because I remember back in the early days of social media, it was like, oh, you know what? When you ask people questions, they'll respond.
Mm-hmm.
And so you found a lot of brands asking questions that were completely irrelevant to their brand just to simply drive engagement. Yeah. And so, you know, obviously those questions you want to make about what it is you're doing in your brand. But I say that because I remember when that happened. And so giving these kinds of ideas sometimes you have to also kind of put a gate around the fact that, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, this is about your stuff, not, this isn't just to try and drive numbers. But, you know, I see that a lot because people it's like the sales cycle kind of ends at that point. Mm-hmm. Right. And you're in kind of looking at it in the whole scope, where you're like pulling somebody along the sales cycle by using these email newsletters, and that there's an intention not just to get them to this poll and to click.
So I think that's where education comes in. If I could just, you know, press the issue of content and education. So I think the initial, you know, psychological blurb should definitely be tailored to what you're offering, right? So you're going to definitely like scope in on, you know, what would be interesting and what your audience wants, to also what you're offering, and then following that up with really quality information and that content, because I feel like it's an opportunity, I'll say, right now, because it is kind of lacking. There's some people that are doing it really well, but it can be done better. So there's a lot of opportunity to grow in that area. And I would say that, you know, going beyond the psychological, you know, I'm going to get you to engage, but like really, I'm going to help you. So if you can make your poll helpful too, and then have that follow up with good information that your audience actually really wants, depending on who they are, is going to be key. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how do you then take them from that place and move them into the sign up, the sale, the, you know, whatever that goal on the other end is too? And how do you distinguish between like a traditional newsletter where you're providing a lot of information and something where you're bringing somebody into a sequence of communications that at the end lands in the upsell or, you know, the sale or whatever? Does that make, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think it's typical with the method of educating is that you want to, you know, give, ask. So that's kind of the same method you would follow. So if you, and you would keep it short. So let's say you're giving 5 times, just really useful information that's tailored to that group of people. If you're segmenting your group and you have, you know, women 30 to 40s, again, I'll just, you know, harp on this, but really like what tools are we giving them? If you're giving them those tools that they can help educate their uncles, grandparents, et cetera, of how cannabis can help them. So you're giving them the tools, and maybe even tailoring it towards specific ailments, whatnot. Maybe email 5, then you're going into the sell of how your product is related to those very useful, helpful emails.
You know, it's good for me to hear this, because this is something that I have had my head in for a long time, long before cannabis, and I've never really been able to master. And, you know, it's amazing how just somebody else kind of getting the forest for the trees kind of perspective and saying, oh, well, you know, of course you follow the same type of methodology that you follow in any kind of relationship that you have, especially online. You give, and then you ask, and that's kind of what we're here to do. How does email marketing fit in with all of these other things that we're doing as well.
So to me, email marketing is like putting the ring on the finger. So if somebody gives you their correct email at that point, they're open to receiving more information from you. So don't mess it up. Right? So how it plays into everything else is really you own that channel, and you don't know when, another, like a social media algorithm, Google algorithms, they change. Obviously, you can't put out some ads, but what you can do is you can send an email, and you own that channel. And if any one software says that you can't send an email, well, you could go to another software in another country. It's not so rigorously enforced. So with email, you own that channel, and you can disperse it as you wish. You can be as technical, and you can be as segmenting your list as much as you want, or you can send the newsletter with a lot of information depending on what you think your audience will do best with. But again, like, don't mess it up, right? Because they gave you their email.
Yeah, I know that there's a little weight with that, and it's made me hesitant to email.
Yeah.
And then when I do, it's like I feel awkward about it, and I think it comes through. Because I don't want to be a nuisance in someone's inbox, and I don't want to give them information that they're just find uninteresting or unappealing. And I do value their time. So, it's kind of intimidating when I hit the send button after I've written something.
Yeah, I think as a perpetual people pleaser, I know exactly what that feels like. I don't want to annoy anybody or be a nuisance. And so the way that you can, kind of, change that around is like, how can I be so super helpful today that there's no way that I'm going to feel bad about sending this? There's no way like, these people are lucky to get this email. I'm giving them such great information. I think that's one way to turn it around, to really be the source of quality, be the source of great content. And I think that's how you can get around the anxiety of sending the wrong email, or, sending them something irrelevant.
That's great advice, Denise. It's really good advice. Thank you. Yeah, it's, we just kind of get locked into a way of thinking about things in our business and don't even realize that there is another way to experience it. But just, it can be intimidating. And I've worked with a lot of women when it comes to their marketing, and we've got a lot of different things to deal with in being comfortable presenting ourselves to others for scrutiny, and talking about what we do and promoting ourselves. And so this is just one of those other little pegs. It's like, it's hard. So we don't really use it as much as we should, which kind of brings me back to cannabis and the fact that this is such an important tool in our industry because of the fact that we're so limited. And I know that you work with other verticals as well. So how do you see the success of email marketing kind of stacking up in comparison to other industries when this is, A, underutilized, and B, our best way to actually communicate, because we're not privy to all of these other advertising platforms and broadcasting platforms?
I think people miss the mark a little bit because cannabis is more intimate than I think we admit a lot of times. So if you, it's pretty intimate as it's a plant that, we're interacting like literally with our body and our endocannabinoid system. So, I mean, as intimate as it can get, I think I know for me, like aside from my own research, when I've signed up for things, I want that information. So I think it's a little bit different than other industries because it is an intimate relationship that you're having. And I know it sounds a little hokey and spiritual, but if you really think about it, you're not going to sign up for something you don't want to with cannabis that you don't want to interact with. So I think there's a lot of opportunity that's being missed right now with making that connection with your audience. So even, with everybody, growers, attorneys, there's so many different areas in the cannabis industry where they're missing the connection with email, because if somebody really signed up for you with cannabis, they're saying, please send me more information. And knowing that you're not is knowing that you're really disturbing them, because they really do want that from you. It is intimate.
That's such a good point. There have been a lot of people who I've had on who've kind of dropped some really great ideas about cannabis. And I think that this is one of those, the idea that it's intimate. I've never really heard anybody explain it that way. And I think if you kind of recognize that different level of access that you have to another person because you share the cannabis experience, it means a lot more different types of opportunity for expressing your value and deeply connecting with your audience on the other end. And it's something I don't think a lot of other industries have.
No, I don't see that a lot. I mean, you can maybe reason like financial, you're helping people get to a better life. Even, I mean, I guess, cannabis falls into holistic health, and holistic health to me is really taking care of your full body. So it's how you eat, what you supplement your body with. And to me on that level, it's extremely personal, it's extremely intimate. And then if you're getting that trust from other people, well, and they're expressing that to additional people, to me, I don't think we need to stop the market at the place where we think our audience ends. I think the audience can continue to grow. I think the market can continue to grow when we take that little, cap off our ideas and say, okay, so now that we got Margaret, who's Margaret gonna get, And in that way, we can really, maybe it's positive thinking, but I really do think, being in that age group, everybody does come to me and my family for that information, right? So what are we delivering as that? And it is intimate because those people are my friends and family. They're intimate with me. I want to share it with them. And so what are we giving those people who have those relationships? Because it's a relationship with the plant. It's a relationship with your family and friends.
Well, and the intimacy too goes to the fact that when they're talking to you, they're intimating their feel. I don't sleep well. I have pain.
Yeah.
It's like, it's pretty vulnerable.
It's vulnerable stuff to share with somebody. Definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's when you hear information back, you want to hear that vulnerability being understood. Right. So it's definitely different than most industries, and there's a big place there. And so, and the other thing is like with email marketing, to take this technological thing and make it personal, you are getting in somebody's inbox. I mean, it's now the equivalent of getting a letter, right, in the mail. So it's pretty personal. So if you put those two things together, there's a lot of opportunity there that's being missed.
Again, it's rare that I find those gems. I have found a few on these interviews, and this is really, it's a different way to look at marketing. And I'm writing with a good friend of ours, Jessie Barney Design Company, and we write together, and we have a marketing column that we publish in Cannabis Dispensary Magazine. And we've had a long talk about brand flexibility. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm getting a little off topic on this from Email Marketing Ladies, but it is our last show. And so I want to end it on a really, really high note, because we've had some tough stuff we've had to talk about this week. So, and this stuff is super fun for me to talk to you about too, because I think you have an interesting perspective on it. So what we've found is that in the industry and with the times, what we do today as brands, that there needs to be flexibility in a brand and the ability to have different types of conversations while maintaining the continuity of the brand. So whether that's expressed visually, whether that's expressed through email marketing and that type of digital static communication with people, whether it's over social media, there are a lot of ways that you touch the world, and it has to be flexible, but also tie back to one idea. And so we have a client we're working on, and we put a style guide together, just put style guide together, and I worked on more of the other kind of types of branding. And he was interesting when he saw the PDF of our style guide. He got kind of locked into looking for, he's going to give me the design we're going to use. And instead it's this 20-page, like, here's how you use the font, here's all the color schemes, and just like a real solid brand style guide. But realizing also we've got products, because we're vertically integrated as we've got grow and retail and transportation. So we have multiple ways that within our own company we're going to need to use this. There's tourism going on, there's the women's market, there's the recovery of Puerto Rico as a whole. And so trying to kind of get the client to understand that this is a 360 brand experience. This is,
Yeah.
you got to really open up to the fact that we have multiple channels and multiple experiences, and we have to have this kind of fluidity across all of these ways we express who we are. So long, to get to the email marketing part of it, and how you also start to express that brand flexibility and that personality through this static form of digital communication.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, it's a little easier in this realm because, you know, even though you might have some people who are really well-rounded, some people are very specific about their interest or what they want to hear about. So having the brand flexibility with email marketing, I would say, is a little bit easier to kind of structurally put together, because you can segment groups of people. And so if your brand has that flexibility and you're targeting those groups of people, it really plays out well, and you can actually, taking it from the big ideas and, having a worldly perspective, you can really like hone in on, okay, well, people are really interested in this aspect, or this group is really loving and sharing what we're doing. It's easier to do and structure with email marketing, I would say.
I think that's really interesting, because the thing is, you can segment audiences based on, what it is, that the way that you got their email address. Were you giving them a download about a certain topic? Was there an event that they signed up for? And so you can kind of at least gauge what their interest level is to that degree. And as you're saying this, I'm just thinking, our email list is comprised of the women who join the group. They want to stay in touch. They don't donate. They give me their email address, and we add that to a list. And when we started, all the partners got together and donated their email list. And I've never really thought about, in my own head, breaking those down into, okay, well, now we have the women here, and I know what they're here for, because I've asked them if you want to keep up on news and, other things. But I hadn't really thought until you just said that about, isn't that funny how we just kind of get so locked into our own ideas about things sometimes? And
I do it all the time. Yes. I do with social media. So,
which, this just goes to the fact how important it is for professionals to talk to each other at this level regularly, because we can do so much good for each other from that perspective, and also helping to widen the breadth of our own skills and knowledge. So yeah, it's nice to have a chat with somebody who can really help me kind of think this through, because like I said at the beginning, email marketing can be so challenging, but it can also be so rewarding. And so it's a harder thing to figure out, right?
It is. And I'm very like action oriented. So I think what I would definitely challenge anybody who is watching this is to start at least your welcome email automation, so anybody that signs up, it's there, it's going. I know a lot of people like have it on their to-do list. So many people have it on their to-do list. Just get it going. It's free. It's good. We have a video with you guys of how to set it up, right? Keenan Academy has a video of how to set up your first automation. I mean, really, it's the challenge to get you over to the next step, because I think it can mentally be a lot to move through. But when you do it, it kind of gives you the confidence to know, hey, yeah, this is a little challenging, but I can do it, and if somebody's walking you through those first steps, you're good. So do it.
Do you have courses?
No, I don't have courses. No, but we're considering developing them in the next year. Yeah.
I want to sign Sarah up for some courses right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, you are a really good teacher. You have the ability to really lay things out really well. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of a geek, like I said, like I started email marketing when I was 16. I was helping my stepdad with his music industry business. He's a networker and he sells professional audio equipment. He's an amazing musician. So I was like kind of the background geek who would help him follow up with all his leads. And so since then, I've kind of just been, doing that, and then trying to like purvey awesome things in the world. So combining those things really helped out.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much, Denise, for being my last interview.
Friday, yeah.
This has been an incredible week. I feel so much smarter after this interview. Thank you very much. Yeah, this has been a pretty incredible week. Have you been able to catch any of our interviews?
I did. I've been peeking through. That's where I caught the quick little stat of 30 to 40. And I was like, hey, that makes sense. Women in their 30s or 40s, they're really the go-to. And what are we doing for them? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are you aware of Elementa?
Yeah. The software?
No, Elementa, it's a group of I don't have their pitch down. They basically organize women in different areas around the country and help them organize educational events for women who are interested in learning more about it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And their business model is pretty awesome. They, if you're interested, you contact Elementa and they help you set up, help you find the venues and the speakers and help you sell tickets and do the marketing. And I've been they're a good friend of Kaden and one of our partners. And so I get to pull some data from them from the B2C side and the B2B side as well. Women entrepreneurs are the ones who are they're very active. And I think we're going to kind of break some real barriers with percentages of women entrepreneurs in cannabis. And that's really what we're working to do. And then what Elementa has been focusing on is really helping the woman consumer. So we're learning a lot through these two organizations about where women are at in this industry right this minute.
Awesome.
And it's really exciting because what we're learning about the consumer, a lot of us have thought this, but now it's being validated by distributors and dispensary owners all over the country, is that women between the age of about 43, 44, and 65, I believe will be the driving force of the market. And data is starting to come in to validate that. And it's because we're menopausal, perimenopausal, our bodies are changing, pains last longer, our spouses are going through the same thing, our parents are in a place where they're needing caregiving, so a lot of us are taking over their medical needs. And we still are taking care of our children to some extent. And so we are kind of in this spot in the industry where so much will flow through us, right? And we're the ones that are the most intimate. And how many people come to you now for, I can't believe the number of texts I get. I'm with my friend so-and-so and she wants it. What can you recommend? I'm going to start charging for this.
Right.
Because,
we all did.
Yeah. So it really is a market that there is so much room for brands to focus on that demographic and take to heart all the things that we've talked about today, talking to them in an intimate level, welcoming their vulnerability and showing your vulnerability. Really give, and then ask, because these are all the things that actually work with that demographic.
Absolutely.
And it kind of mirrors in a little bit what's going on from the entrepreneurial side, which is we want to do things differently. And I had the real pleasure of interviewing Christy Lunsford the other day. And she was one of the pre-Women Grow original women organizers. And I asked her, when you got to get this group together, did you have in mind at that time that women can create a new road for themselves in this industry, that we don't have to walk into this male-dominated world? We can do this differently the way we want to work. She said it wasn't even a thought in our head.
Yes.
So and then now I see women I had a woman in France contact me recently who was saying, we're having gender issues here and we see this is our opportunity too. So now I'm seeing it's like this way of thought about this industry is landing probably all over the world, wherever there is cannabis innovation happening. So we're seeing it as entrepreneurs that we have this new path. We're seeing it as consumers that there's this new way that entrepreneur, that brands and consumers can interact. And it's a really exciting time for us. And I've just had the most incredible week interviewing incredible women, and to get to end it on this note with you is awesome. Thank you so much, Denise.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's great. It's great to be a part of this. I'm really honored. Actually, I wanted to say thank you really quickly because I thought it was really awesome the other week when you stood up for this little girl selling water. That really pushed me over the edge to want to support what you guys are doing and Kaden Academy. I think it is a no BS kind of time, and the group that you're talking about is no BS, and I think that we're all part of that. And really, catering to what the heck we need. We all need it. It's not a one-way conversation anymore. And I really appreciate what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much. I get so much reward from this every day. I feel like I just need to thank everybody else because my cup runneth over right now.
Aww.
I talked to 21 women this week who are all killing it in one way or another in what they're doing. And they took the time to sit and talk with me and share their knowledge with me. I've never had the opportunity to do that in anything I've ever done before. So I'm so happy to have this community. Yeah. Thankful. Thank you. So grateful.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, ladies, that does it for me and the making of the smartest person in the room. And I hope that you all have gained some real insight and knowledge. I know I have. And thank you for indulging me in this last interview. I know I kind of got us off track a little bit, but I really enjoyed talking with Denise. So thank you so much for introducing me on that. All right, ladies, we will get back to our Mentor Mondays next week. If you have not signed up for Kaden Academy yet, go sign up. It's $20 a month. You get access to group health insurance. You get discounts on professional services. You get to see amazing videos that great women like Denise have put together for you to teach you about email marketing. Go sign up now. The price is going to go up at the end of the month, a couple of dollars. So let's keep those dollars in your pocket and go sign up now. All right, ladies, much love to you. Thank you for going on this journey with me, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.